It was one of those relentless nights where the rain didn't just fall. It pounded against the earth with a fury, as if something unseen and angry was hammering at the world, desperate to break through. The rhythmic drumming on the roof of my car was deafening, each drop hitting like a warning. I was driving for Uber, just trying to scrape together some extra cash during the late shift, the kind of gig that keeps you on the road long after most people have retreated to the safety of their homes. The streets were slick, my headlights cutting through the downpour in weak, wavering beams. Then the app pinged, a pickup request on Old Mill Road. Even the name sent a prickle down my spine. That stretch was notorious among drivers, a forgotten back road swallowed by dense forest, where the pavement narrowed and the trees leaned in like they were watching. No streetlights, no houses, just an endless tunnel of shadows. But a fare was a fare, and money was tight. So I turned onto the winding road, the tires hissing against the wet asphalt. When I finally pulled up to the pin, she was already there, standing, motionless in the deluge, completely exposed to the storm. No shelter, no umbrella, not even a coat. Just her, a lone figure in a white dress, the fabric soaked transparent, clinging to her like a second skin. Her hair was dark and stringy, plastered, across her face like a funeral veil, obscuring everything but the faintest impression of features beneath. She didn't move to shield herself, didn't react to my arrival, just waited, perfectly still, as if she'd been standing there for hours. The rain sheeted down around her, but she didn't flinch. Something about the way she stood, too straight, too patient, made my hands tighten on the wheel. Normal people didn't wait like that. Normal people didn't stand in the middle of a storm without so much as a shiver. But the app had confirmed the pickup, and canceling now would hurt my eye. Rating. So I rolled down the window, the cold spray hitting my face, and forced the words out. "You need a ride?" She didn't answer, just reached for the door handle, her fingers pale and dripping. She slid into the back seat without a word, the door clicking shut behind her with a finality that made my stomach tighten. The smell hit me first, thick and heavy like wet soil after a storm, but deeper, older, the kind of dampness that clings to the inside of a coffin. It filled the car in seconds, that unmistakable scent of turned earth, of something buried and unearthed. My skin prickled, the fine hairs on my arms standing up, but I forced myself to stay calm. Riders were sometimes odd, especially late at night. "Where to?" I asked, glancing at her through the rearview mirror. No answer. She just sat there, perfectly still, her head slightly bowed, rainwater pooling around her feet. Then, slowly, she lifted a single bony finger, too long, too pale, and pointed at the GPS screen mounted on the dashboard. No address spoken, no confirmation. Just that silent gesture, as if speech was unnecessary. I swallowed hard and put the car in drive, the tires sloshing through the flooded road. The silence between us was suffocating, pressing down like a weight on my chest. I tried small talk. "Rough night, huh?" But the words just hung there, unanswered. The only sounds were the rhythmic thump of the wipers and the steady drip, drip, drip of water from her clothes onto the floor mats. Every few minutes, my eyes flicked back to the mirror, catching glimpses of her. She never moved, never adjusted her soaked dress, never wrung out her hair. Just sat there, a statue in the back seat, her posture unnaturally straight. And that's when I noticed it. Her clothes weren't drying, not even a little. The fabric stayed plastered to her skin, dark and heavy, as if the rain were still falling on her. But the windows were shut. The storm was outside. A cold knot formed in my throat. I turned up the heat, hoping to steam out the chill, but the air stayed damp, that grave smell lingering. The GPS guided us deeper into back roads, the trees closing in like walls. I kept waiting for her to speak, to give some explanation, but the only sound was the occasional creak of the car as it rolled over uneven pavement. Then, in the mirror, I saw it. Her head tilting up, just slightly. And for the first time, beneath the curtain of wet hair, I caught the faintest glimpse of her face. When we finally reached the destination, a dilapidated, boarded-up house at the edge of town, its windows blacked out and porch sagging under years of neglect. I turned in, my seat to inform her we had arrived. My mouth went dry before I could even speak. The back seat was empty. No sign of her. No rustle of wet fabric. No sound of a door opening. Just an expanding puddle of dark water soaking into the upholstery, the edges creeping outward like something alive. The smell hit me full force now, thick and cloying, like a forest floor after days of rain, but wrong. Not just earth, but something beneath it. Decaying leaves, yes, but also the metallic tang of rust, the sourness of something long submerged. My fingers clenched around the steering wheel, knuckles white. I checked the locks, still engaged. The windows still shut. No way she could have gotten out without me hearing. No way she could have vanished that fast. My pulse roared in my ears as I threw the car into reverse, tires skidding on the wet gravel. I didn't look back at the house, didn't check the mirrors, just pressed the gas and didn't let up until the headlights caught street signs, then traffic lights, then the glow of a 24-hour gas station. The rest of the night was a blur. I drove home with every interior light on, the radio blasting static just to fill the silence. Every shadow in the rear view made my breath hitch. Every drip from the AC made my spine lock up. Sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. The empty seat, the water darkening the fabric, the way the air in the car had felt heavier, like something had been inhaling the whole time. I reported the ride as a no-show. Didn't mention the puddle. Didn't mention the smell. But I haven't driven past Old Mill Road since. The next morning, after a sleepless night spent staring at my ceiling, I found myself at a rundown gas station near Old Mill Road. My hands shook as I poured coffee, the styrofoam cup trembling in my grip. The clerk, an older guy with deep lines around his eyes and a name tag that read Marty, noticed my unease immediately. "You look like you've seen a ghost," he joked, but his smile faded when I didn't laugh back. Against my better judgment, I told him about the pickup, about the woman in the white dress, about how she'd vanished from my back seat. The color drained from Marty's face so fast I thought he might pass out. His fingers tightened around the counter edge like he needed to steady himself. "That's the Blackwell girl," he muttered, voice dropping so low I had to lean in to hear him. His eyes darted toward the rain-streaked windows, as if checking we were alone. "Died 10 years ago tonight. Wrapped her car around a tree out on Mill. Rode during a storm just like this one." He swallowed hard, the Adam's apple in his throat bobbing. "They never found her body, just the dress, hanging from a branch like it was waiting." The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. Marty wouldn't look me in the eye after that, just wiped down the counter with sudden intensity, his rag moving in tight, nervous circles. I noticed how his hands shook. I left without another word, the bell above the door jingling too loud in the heavy silence. The rain had stopped, but the air still smelled like wet asphalt and something else. That same earthy decay from my car. Now, years later, I still drive for Uber. But when summer storms roll in and the roads turn black and slick, I cancel every ride request near Old Mill Road. Because sometimes, when the rain comes down hard enough, I'll catch a glimpse of something pale in my rear view. A flash of white, a figure standing just beyond the headlights. And I know, she's still out there, still waiting for someone to take her home.